What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Awesemo Fantasy channel. And today we are continuing our draft talk ahead of the 2022 NFL Draft, continuing the running back position with Arizona State's Rachaad White. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by Underdog Fantasy, known for their best ball drafts, but they have so much more. Everything from live drafts, pick'em contests, you can win up to 20x your entry fee over on Underdog. And make sure to use the promo code Awesemo when you get started. That will get you a match deposit bonus up to $100. So make sure to check out Underdog Fantasy today. Diving into today's prospect, we are going to talk Rachaad White coming out of Arizona State, a really interesting prospect to diagnose here. He had a winding journey to get here, which we'll get to, but overall, starting with the size profile, this is a back that does have elite size. He's 6 feet tall, 214 pounds, good athleticism at 4.48. That was his 40-yard dash time, 38-inch vertical, so he is explosive, but he is one of the older running backs we've talked about at this point so far in the draft, 23.2 years old. That is because he was a junior college recruit. He was actually the number 3 junior college running back in 2020. Kind of had a winding journey to get to Arizona State. He was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. He missed a lot of his junior season with a broken collarbone, but then as a senior, he accumulated over 2,000 all-purpose yards. End up going to D2, transfers to JUCO, performs at all levels, and then eventually gets the nod at Arizona State. Played 2 years there. And in the first year, it was the 2020 COVID-shortened season in the Pac-12. So only 42 attempts, but he did break out this past year, and we'll highlight the 2021 stats. 182 carries, exactly 1,000 yards rushing. Then he has the 16 touchdowns. But more importantly, this guy was an excellent receiver at school. He turned 48 targets into 43 catches for 225 yards, scored an additional touchdown there. That was a 16% target share, and he did that on 51% of the routes. So this guy was a phenomenal pass catcher, and it was a full season. Some of you may be wondering why the carries weren't as high as maybe we thought. Well, they have another guy there, Chip Trayanum, who's been a solid rusher for them, Daniel Nagata. So it's not like Rachaad White had this backfield all to himself, but he did kind of separate himself towards the end of the season, which was solid. Overall, the scheme there, very beneficial to running backs, played under head coach Herm Edwards and OC Zach Hill, dual threat QB, but this is a team, they depend on the run, so Rachaad White did find himself in a solid location there. And when we look at level of competition, this is a guy that does have solid production against some upper echelon schools in the Pac-12. Went over 200 yards against USC, went for 184 against Washington. And like we mentioned before, this is a guy that was catching the ball in all sorts of game environments. And he had 9 catches against BYU, which is just ridiculous, almost double-digit catches in one game. He's also versatile. He returned 4 kicks, 2 punts, and from a forced missed tackle and yards after contact perspective, he's inside the top 25 for both in this class. So not elite, but he does check the box. No major injuries for Rachaad White either. Now, he's going to be a really interesting evaluation here. I'll bring you back to the size profile. A lot of this is because he's older, 23.2. He also doesn't have the same usage as some other backs because of the JUCO transfer. But overall, there's a lot of players that do fit a similar build to Rachaad White, and players that really stand out as pass catchers is where I want to highlight. So when you look at his size and his speed, some players, Charles Sims, Marlon Mack, Kenyon Drake, those are the top 3 names in my model as far as player comparisons. And I think those make a lot of sense. Charles Sims had some success at the NFL level catching the ball. We've seen what Kenyon Drake has been able to do primarily as a pass catcher, but he does have enough juice to get it done on the ground as well. Then if you increase the production here, you start getting names like Miles Sanders, who was a little bit slighter in terms of his frame, but a phenomenal pass catcher as well. And then highlighting the group is Demarco Murray, who had just elite athleticism coming out of college. He would be the very upper echelon of Rachaad White if he can get it done. Murray, coming out of school, ran a 4.41 40-yard dash at 215 pounds, just for your reference. So similar size, but much more athletic overall. But Rachaad White, he's being mocked usually late day 2, early day 3. And that's important to note here because the draft capital for some of those backs we just mentioned was a lot higher. Ultimately, a team that needs a solid receiving back should look at Rachaad White. And there's a few that come to mind. A team like Arizona, who has a hammer in James Conner, could take a look at Rachaad White later on day 2, maybe early on day 3. And the size for Rachaad White makes a lot of sense for Arizona as well, because if James Conner does go down with an injury, Rachaad White still has the size profile to potentially handle full workload. Other teams that may be interested, San Francisco's replacing some backs. Atlanta's thin. Tennessee could use a pass catcher behind Derrick Henry. Those are just some teams to monitor. Let me know where you think Rachaad White comes off the board and to what team. My name is Matt Gajewski on Twitter at Matt_Gajewski. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you again next time.